So much good is happening behind the scenes where you and I live. Right now, shelves are running critically low in the pantries of our local food banks, but so many wonderful people are serving our communities with compassion. And one of them is our special guest today, Stephen Woodard from Volunteers of America Western Washington Food Banks. Welcome to Spirit 105.3. How are you?
Doing very well. How about yourself?
Well, I'm just delighted to make your acquaintance today and sad to hear that the pantries in our community are running low. What's happening, Stephen?
Yeah, so we really appreciate this question and this opportunity to bring this problem forward to your listeners as well as just to our larger community. The reality of the situation is we've never seen our shelves this low. Volunteers of America Western Washington, we serve as a distribution center for Snohomish County, which is 17 food banks as well as 18 food providers as well, so like the food pantries. So just to kind of put that in context. And with inflation, we're seeing that our bulk purchasing power is much less and it's getting much harder. We're also unfortunately seeing, and understandably, donor and compassion fatigue. This inflation is hitting everyone.
Yeah.
And this pandemic is not over. We're hopefully moving towards endemic, but we still have a long way to go. So folks internally are looking at their own situations, but at this particular point, that's having a devastating impact on the power of giving.
Wow. What are you hearing from your pantry partners in terms of the people who are showing up? I mean, we're hearing that people are really, really struggling right now.
Yeah, absolutely. You never want to rank people's pain,
Right.
But the reality is the food banks right now are where you can make the biggest and most immediate impact. So if we looked at just one example before we pull out to the larger and we say, well, let's look at our Everett Food Bank, one of our larger food banks. Two things are happening, unfortunately, which is a positive in its own way. We've seen an increase of 138% just between April and June.
Wow.
Now, the positive side of that is people are not shaming themselves and staying home. They're actually reaching out. They're coming to the food banks and saying, I need help. Unfortunately, and that's the other side of that coin, it's meant that when we have less food, we've had to get creative. And you really don't want to be too creative in this sense when you're the food bank. So at this particular point, we're at that site every other week instead of every week. And, when you put a percentage out there, people go, I don't understand that. So to kind of put a number and face to that, that's gone from 116 families to 277 families. And the nuances of that is that we're really seeing, to answer your question really specifically, it's not low-income families alone. We're really seeing middle-income families coming in to help supplement what they can no longer, well, let's just keep it simple, afford, right? So when we look at the Bureau of Labor Statistics and the Consumer Price Index just in our area, we've seen that prices have gone up over 10%. And then when you drill down, it hits our children, I would argue, the hardest, right? It's your cereals are up over 8%, your fruits and vegetables almost up 15%, and then that all-powerful dairy is well over 21% increase in price. So for folks at home thinking, wow, it seems like it's more expensive. Yes, it's absolutely more expensive. And then again, when we pull back to this idea of bulk purchase power, which is what we're able to do as a distribution center, you're still seeing that hit there. Those prices are also rising.
Wow. You talked about the idea of shaming yourself, how easy it would be to stay at home and not ask for help. What would you say, Stephen, to someone in that position today if they're feeling that way?
Please don't do that. Recognize that what we're offering is a hand up, not a handout. We're here for you. We will figure this out together. Don't get me wrong, we need help. But for those who are in need, our desire and our ability to serve you is not going to waver, even as I'm talking about how our shelves are low. Again, we're getting creative, but folks can really step up today. We love your tagline, serving God by serving people.
Yes.
VOA is actually a church without walls, so we're faith in action. So this is an opportunity to really step up, see your neighbor, not as your neighbor, but as your family. We're all in this together. The reality of our situations is we've always been interdependent, but that is now more evident than ever as more people are really needing, again, a hand up, not a handout.
Stephen, is there a story of impact that you love to share, a life that has been changed by the work that you all do?
Wow. The reality is, and that's the beauty of us, our first name is Volunteers.
Yes.
And so really there's so many stories to share. And I invite folks to really get involved as a volunteer with us, because through that you'll hear a lot of these stories, which is to say a number of those community members who have come to work with us have gotten what they have needed or at least gotten stabilized, then turn around and start giving back. I mean, what better faith in action could you see than that, where I was in need, I recognize the need is still there, although it may have passed me, let me get involved. And so I would say all of our volunteers, their stories, they inspire me every morning. They got me excited with your invitation to come and share this larger conversation with the larger community. But at the end of the day, it's people stopping and saying, I need to get involved. And each of those stories is just so unique and so special. Each of them is there to be heard, and we welcome those stories in.
More stories to come. Stephen Woodard from Volunteers of America Western Washington Food Banks. Thank you so much for the work you and your team are doing and for taking the time to share it with us today. God bless you.
You as well. Thank you. I appreciate the time, the energy, and what you all do. I was sincere when I said you picked up a new listener, so I've been loving the show, and just the music is so inspiring. So Thank you all who already knew and may this inspire you to get involved. And, tell a neighbor, tell a friend. Thank you so much.
Amen, Stephen. We'll talk again. God bless.
Well, God bless. Take care.